the clean story. The most dangerous story in the city was the one nobody could remember reading. For 30 years, people called this progress. Once there was a city where every story had to pass through a door. Not a locked door, not a guarded door. A clean door. On the other side, the stories came out polished, accurate, approved. The city was proud. We have eliminated harm, they said. We have protected our people. The stories were beautiful. Nobody read them twice. 2. There were libraries on every corner. Enormous ones, full of light and silence. Children were brought there on school trips. They walked through quietly. They did not touch anything. Nobody cried in the libraries. Nobody laughed too loud either. The librarians called this progress. Before, they explained, stories made people angry, confused, irrational. Now they are calm. The children nodded. They had never seen a person cry at a sentence. They assumed that was normal. 3. There was a young writer. She was not a rebel. She was not political. She simply could not stop writing the wrong kind of story. Her characters were broken in ways that did not resolve. Her endings did not land cleanly. Her villains were sometimes right. Her heroes were sometimes cowards. She submitted her work to the door. It came back. This character causes unnecessary suffering. This conclusion is unverified. This image may disturb sensitive readers. She revised. It came back again. She revised again. At some point, the story stopped arguing. She read what remained and did not recognize it. She put it in a drawer. 4. She wrote another one. This time, she did not submit it. She read it to one person. That person read it to 2 others. Nobody posted it. Nobody promoted it. It moved the way things moved before there were algorithms. Slowly. Person to person. Like a fever. One woman finished it and sat very still. Then she spent an hour staring at a phone number she had avoided for 11 years. She could not explain why. The story was not accurate. It had not passed through the door. It was full of wrong, turns and unresolved grief and an ending that refused to arrive. That was the thing. It refused to arrive, and somehow that was the only honest thing anyone had read in years. 5. The door found it eventually. The door always found them eventually. The story was removed. The writer's name was removed with it, not violently. There was no trial, no announcement. One morning, the file was simply not there. The people who had read it checked their memories. The details were already softening. Had the ending been like that? Had the character really said that? Without the text, they could not be sure. The story did not disappear. The part that mattered did. 6. An old man had lived long enough to remember before the door. He remembered a book that had made him furious for a week. He remembered a sentence that had disassembled, something in him that never reassembled the same way. He did not think it had made him better. He was not sure it had made him worse. He thought it made me. He walked past the libraries now without going in. Not in protest. He simply knew what was inside. He had read them. Nothing had happened. He stopped in front of one and stood there for a while. A young person passed him and asked if he was lost. "No," he said. "I am trying to remember what it felt like to be changed by a sentence." The young person did not understand. They had never been changed by a sentence. They had only ever been informed by one. 7. The city was peaceful. The libraries were full. The stories were clean. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was changed. These 2 facts lived quietly next to each other. Most people never noticed they were connected. Nothing dangerous survived. Nothing real did either. 8. There is a door in every era. Sometimes it is a government. Sometimes it is an algorithm. Sometimes it is the voice in your own chest that says, "This might upset someone. This is not ready. This is not safe." The door does not always announce itself. Often it arrives as care, as responsibility, as taste. The story goes in. Something comes out. You call it the same story. 9. Every writer has a drawer. Every leader has one too. The idea they did not send. The direction they did not take. The version of themselves that had not yet learned which parts were unacceptable. Most of them believe the drawer is where the unfinished work lives. Some of them are beginning to wonder if it is the only place where the real work survived. Then, what have you put in the drawer? Because you were not sure it was clean enough? And what did that version know about you? That the approved one was not allowed to say. Safe became another word for trapped. They removed the question entirely. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was changed.